different venues and different parts of your life.
I love that. Yes, you're absolutely right. And I want to tell you a little bit about why I started using parts work. Is that okay to tell you
Yeah,
about
no,
right now?
that'd be great.
So I started using parts work. It comes from, as I said earlier, it comes from internal family systems, which is a very powerful therapeutic model for supporting people with dissociative identity disorder. So basically the old way of describing that was multiple personalities. And so I started using this work with a dear friend who is also my business partner in another business, where we were supporting a population of people who had dissociative identity disorder. And so it started off as something that was to support people in generally living a life of co-consciousness between all of the different parts of them that were expressed in the form of different personalities. And from that experience, I realized exactly what you just said, that this could be used in all aspects of life for entrepreneurs, non-entrepreneurs, for relationships, for family, for whatever it is. And so I specifically started shifting it for entrepreneurs so that people can understand not necessarily their different personalities, but the different parts of them that interact with their business and interact with people that come into their business. So it started off as it's coming from this very powerful modality that supports people who are very far. So when I say parts are basically, if you lose your job, you have a part of you that is scared because you don't know where your next paycheck is. You have a part of you that is excited because you had this idea that you really wanted to put into play, but you didn't have enough time. You have a part that's ashamed because you have to tell your partner. You have a part of you that is pissed because your boss is a jerk and that boss shouldn't have fired you. So all of these different moving parts that have different thoughts, different beliefs, because these parts of you were created under different circumstances and different times in your life. And so for people with dissociative identity disorder, these parts are expressed as different personalities. For people who are not completely fragmented or dissociated, these parts are just expressed as different thoughts, different behaviors, different beliefs. And we have different thoughts, behaviors, and beliefs that we find are acceptable and others that we find are not acceptable. And we tend to repress and suppress the parts that we find that we believe aren't acceptable. And so parts work, working with the parts of you that you find or you learn aren't acceptable. Working with those parts to bring some healing can affect any area of your life, whether it's sexual, whether it's career, whether it's manifesting money, whether it's relationships between mother and daughter or whatever. It translates to any aspect of your life.
Cool. That's amazing. For any of you who are listening in right now, where I am interviewing Lloyd Burnett, and you could reach him. What is your website, Lloyd?
They can go to lloydburnett.com. That's my general website. But if they go to lloydburnett.com/webinar, they can go to an in-depth free training that I'm offering to your community.
Fantastic. And we'll remind you of that a little later on in the broadcast. And you can reach me at wildridersheal.com and find out more about me and listen to more of my podcasts. So let's go on with the interview. I like that idea of healing. So what kind of healing do you offer? Or what, if people who are working with you, what type of healing do you do?
Yeah, so the healing looks different for most people that I work with, but the main healing goals that people have when they come to me is to experience more abundance in their life, financial abundance and abundance of joy, abundance of love, abundance of whatever. and also to experience more fulfillment in their life. So to take the success that they're experiencing and the achievements and to actually be fulfilled by those things that people look at and say, oh, you're successful, or oh, you're achieving a lot, to gain deep satisfaction and fulfillment from that. And so this healing is expressed in you can see it in your relationships, and you can see it in your business. And it looks like more clients coming in your business, more abundance, more fulfillment from the success that you're experiencing in your business or in your regular relationships, more love, deeper connection, more pleasure, more bliss in those relationships. So it's wanting to interrupt patterns of lack, of struggle, of not feeling fulfilled, and wanting to create more abundance, more love, and more fulfillment.
Okay, I like that idea of interrupting patterns. I wanted to maybe explore that a little bit. I think that I know some clients of mine, or even myself, we can now recognize patterns that we're doing that may be self-sabotaging or may not be for our highest good, and can maybe take a step back because we're aware of that. So how does your work alert your clients that, or do you alert them, right? How does that work when you're working with a client that you're interrupting the pattern?
Exactly. I love that question, because it's a delicate process, because I have a gift of seeing patterns. The way my intuitive gift expresses itself is that I'm able to sit with somebody and kind of feel what is keeping them stuck. And through many times not even having a conversation, I don't even need to have a conversation, I can see different areas of their life, the pattern that they're in, and I don't necessarily see what takes them out of it, but I can see it. And so what we do is we bring the sight of the pattern into awareness so that they can see what is actually happening. And then what is needed to interrupt it comes from within the client. So I just kind of support them on the journey of, it's different for everybody. It could be just the expression of the energy, the expression of it through anger, through tears, through shaking, through whatever that could interrupt the pattern. Or it could be taking a specific action in their life that kind of diverts the energy from the pattern into something more constructive. It looks very different with everybody. So I use my gift of being able to see the pattern to support the client in seeing it themselves. Once they see it, we access their intuition, which lets them know exactly what to do to interrupt it and to replace it with something else.
Very interesting. I've also in my communications talk about using your intuition as a guide. Personally, I use my intuition as a guide of what the truth is. So personally, my patterns, I don't feel are stem from my intuition. I feel like my intuition is the truth, and it either tells me or confirms my feelings of whether I am doing a repeated pattern that doesn't work well for me. And how to change it is sometimes where it gets a little messy of what to do next. But I thought that's interesting about that intuition piece. Could you maybe expand on that a little bit?
Exactly. So once we bring awareness to the pattern, it's important to tap into the intuition, because just as you described, the intuition is the key to your truth. And you need to figure out what is the truth of the moment so that you can break this pattern. So it's not my truth that can help you in interrupting your pattern, your truth. And so this is where it gets a little interesting with a lot of healers, because a lot of healers, and I'm not saying that this is true. This is not true. I'm saying that I haven't experienced this as being effective. A lot of healers will go in and try and clear patterns for people. And from my experience, what I have witnessed in my experience, in my practice, and working with other healers, is that it's clearing patterns. Interrupting patterns is something that has to come from the person who is in the middle of the pattern. They have to tap into their own intuition and see what it is that is necessary to heal from whatever wound or trauma that is keeping them in that pattern. So I serve as, after I support them in seeing the pattern, I serve as kind of a mirror that reflects them back to their own intuition to know exactly what to do. I've been in kind of healing seminars and conferences and calls where the healer will kind of go in and clear these patterns for people. And that may work for them. But in my experience, I haven't found that to be the highest expression of supporting a client in interrupting patterns and experiencing what they want to experience.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think that even when I've had coaches in the past, and even if they tell me something, I think the awareness of it is important, but I actually have to go through the breakthrough. Like, it has to come internally from me and actually say, like, oh my God, this is just what happened to me. Wow, after this call, or whatever it is, And so I agree with you. And I also think, like, I also say a lot about that we have all the wisdom within us, like our intuition, our body, that's the part of my whole message about erotica is our body actually is an expression of what our soul wants to do. We didn't really talk about the soul much yet. So maybe we could dive into that a little bit of how your work works with your clients' souls.
I love that. Yeah. So there are two different things that I want to talk about with that. And the first one is working with agreements that the soul has made. So a big part of this work is understanding that everything that we experience is part of an agreement that our soul has made. And am I allowed to swear in this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
We're talking about erotica here. Like, you say whatever you want.
Exactly. I mean, you never know. So, that's one thing that I talk about a lot with soul agreements is that to help people understand it, I give them this image of before their soul is incarnated into the physical body that they're in, their soul has to go to a place called the Fuck Me Cafe. And the Fuck Me Cafe is where you sit down with the universe, whatever you want to call it, and you decide what it is that you want to learn and experience in human form. What is it that your soul wants to experience? Does your soul want to experience forgiveness? Does your soul want to experience love? Does your soul want to experience whatever? And so you agree on a soul level what it is that you want to experience. And then you're incarnated. And then your soul attracts everything that you need to be able to achieve that experience that you have agreed to in the Fuck Me Cafe. And I call it the Fuck Me Cafe because when we're in physical form and we're going through a lot of struggle, that struggle is something that we attracted so that we can experience what we agreed on, what we wanted to experience. And to experience forgiveness, you have to experience betrayal or hurt. And so it's like you're telling the universe, okay, when I go down to earth, you're going to give me someone who's going to betray me. And so that's why I call it the Fuck Me Cafe. And so it's important to work with these different soul agreements because it helps us step out of the role of being a victim of our experience and being more empowered and saying, hey, oh my God, I attracted this person into my life who was going to ghost me when I text them after we just had a sexual experience? Why did I attract them? What is it that I agreed to that I need to learn from this experience? So we look at the agreements that the soul has made. And then the other side of that